LaVar, I got a problem, man.
Uh-oh. Cut the music. Hold the horses.
You know sometimes where you can empathize for someone?
Yes.
I mean, imagine winning a Super Bowl. Imagine being a head coach in the NFL for a long time.
Okay.
And never having a losing season.
That's crazy.
I don't know that we talk about that enough, but that's being underappreciated right now with one Mike Tomlin. And I think it's in part because the Steelers are currently a 500 team. They're currently at the bottom of the AFC North, but it's not like they're anywhere near out of it. In fact, they can climb right back into it. But he's frustrated and he's upset. And let's just get to the sound, Lee. Let's get to the sound as to why he's so frustrated and upset right now.
Hey, guys, I don't have time for that speculation. I mean, that's a joke to me. I got one of the best jobs in all of professional sport. Why would I have any interest in coaching college football? That'll be the last time that I address it. And not only today, but moving forward. Never say never, but never. Okay? Anybody else got any questions about any college jobs? There's not a booster with a big enough blank check. Thank you. Anybody asking Sean Payton about that? Anybody asking Andy Reid about stuff like that?
And what college? What college what do you think that is?
Them deuces.
That's that USC Trojans, okay?
Yeah,
and you know what? Hey, Berto, what's your favorite drop? What's your favorite sound? Yeah, that's basically what Mike Tomlin said to all those USC alums, the legends, the greats.
They put 2 fingers up, Brady. You know what I mean? You know what 2 fingers is. That's 2. Yeah. You know, when you go to the restroom, it's either 1 or 2.
That's right. They say, horns down, I think, in the Big 12 for Texas.
Yeah.
You know, they say horns down. So he basically just said, I'm out. I'm going to go take a deuce on these rumors. First off, do you find it a little disrespectful? I mean, because I know that report came out largely because Carson Palmer, who, may or may not be in the know on what USC would like to happen with their next head coaching hire. But it seems like there's really not mutual interest. Maybe it's just one-sided. This is starting to feel like that movie Swim Fan, where you've got one side that's really into it, and the other side's no, that's stalking. I need a restraining order.
Right. Listen, I don't know that it's intentional disrespect. I mean, it is disrespectful. I mean, who could recruit a coach from the Pittsburgh Steelers? If you stop and think about that, that's got to be the most arrogant S that you could ever throw out there as a college, as a university. We're looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach to bring in for our program. That's somebody needs a little bit of assisting in terms of how their thought process works and the connection between fantasy and reality. But here's the thing, right? I totally get where Mike Tomlin is coming from. He's fighting to gain some sturdy, solid ground with this team and with this season. He's got a lot to overcome to try to finish out the rest of the way well. So to come at him with kind of, I mean, even college coaches, guys like Frank get irritated when they're kind of saddled with these questions of would you go or are you thinking of going and different things like that while this season is going on. So I don't know that he would have. I don't think he'd have felt disrespected as much if it wasn't in season.
That may be the case.
But then
he brought up Sean Payton and Andy Reid.
Yep.
2 coaches who've each won a Super Bowl like Mike Tomlin.
Yep.
2 coaches who have been uber successful. I actually think the Super Bowl for Mike Tomlin for Andy Reid for sure puts him in the Hall of Fame, but he might have already had a case given his win-loss record and all of that before that happened in Kansas City. But now it's a shoo-in. Sean Payton, shoo-in. I think those guys will go into the Hall of Fame, as will Mike Tomlin, who's coached for 14 years in the NFL and has never had a losing season.
That's crazy.
It's unbelievable. I mean, and to your point of going after a Pittsburgh Steelers head coach, and Tomlin kind of said, hey, this is a great job, one of the best in all of pro sport. It's been 50 years, and the Steelers have had three head coaches.
Yeah.
3 head coaches.
Yeah.
Why in the world would anyone contemplate going to a lower level of what you do to have to recruit, which is almost like a second job, and leave
third.
that situation?
Second and third job.
Right.
Here's the 1,000-pound gorilla in the room, right? He mentioned 2 white coaches, and I'm sitting here, so let's broach it. Like, let's not dance around it. He's basically saying, if why are you not approaching white coaches to say this? And I don't want to turn it into a race thing, but that's what it was.
Ask this, because I don't think the question had any racial intent when it was asked. Now, but again, what I can't tell you as a white guy is whether or not he felt like it was, or whether his response, tapped into that. You would obviously have the perspective to do that.
The funny thing is, I wouldn't know how to answer it either, because as a white guy, you'd be feeling different than the next white guy. As a black guy, you feel differently than the next black guy. So I don't want to necessarily say that that's 100% what it was that he meant. But I'm going to say like 99.99999%, that's what he meant. In other words, like, why are you disrespecting my resume? Like, I don't hear any other names popping up out there from teams that are winning Super Bowls or competing for Super Bowls, right, or strong organizations and franchises. You're not throwing those names out there, so why are you throwing mine out there? Like, what do I have to do to be qualified as someone that is looked at as, this is the Pittsburgh? He falls in the upper echelons of football royalty because he's coaching and has won in one of the most storied franchises in all of sports. So I can get where he's coming from. I certainly can say that there probably could be some validity to the insinuating of there being the idea of it being, race involved. But I will say this to the other side of it. Why not Mike Tomlin? You got a guy who can coach at the level that Mike has, at the level of experience and expertise at the pro level. If he found himself interested, who would be a great recruiter of young men? Mike Tomlin. You know who would be a great coach at the college level in terms of relatability and understanding? Mike Tomlin. Who could put together a dope coaching staff where you can develop the players that you bring in? Mike Tomlin. So to me, taking it away from the idea of it being disrespectful, I would lean more towards along the lines of it being flattering, in the sense that Mike Tomlin does check off all of the boxes. Everything that you stated, him not losing as a pro coach, all of those things makes for an impeccable resume where you could get any type of job you want to get and make that job what you want to make it within that industry. He's done that by being able to win where he is. So.
And I see that point. I just think that if you go back and look through the annals of like coaches that have left after being Super Bowl winning coaches and gone to college, Bill Walsh is the only that comes to mind who decided to go back to Stanford, I believe, after a 4-year hiatus. So so kind of to the point that it's not an active coach or an active sitting coach who's never experienced a losing season, who's won a Super Bowl, who's been one of the more consistent at his job and position. Like, it comes off as a bit disrespectful.
Yeah.
And this has nothing to necessarily do with USC. It has more to do with the fact that, like, wait, why would Mike Tomlin want to leave this job? I mean, they currently sit 3-3. They're at the bottom of the AFC North. Now, keep that in mind because they've played 4 conference games and they're 2-2 in conference play. The Baltimore Ravens right now, or excuse me, divisional play, they've only played 1 game in divisional play.
Right.
Cincy's the only team that's played 2, and they're 2-0.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of divisional games left to be played.
That's right.
The entire season is still in front of them. And so that's why when we talked odds the other week, and I think they were, plus 1,800, I told you? And that was a week or so ago.
You said place that bet.
Yeah, because why wouldn't you? You're telling me you don't want to place a $10 bet to win 180 $100 bet to win 1,800. I mean, that's the kind of long shots you want to place, given their track record, their history, what they are capable of. So I just think in some ways it was a bit disrespectful, and I get that. As far as the racial stuff, I ain't going to go there, and I don't think that was the intent.
Yeah, I don't. But some people are out there. They're going to think it. Everybody likes to create those narratives these days. Was he insinuating that? I don't know. Did I give you a tad bit of perspective of how you could look at it if it were that being insinuated? Sure. Is it something to be outraged about? Everybody's making it racial. No, I don't think that it's that deep. I think that this is more of the arrogance and confidence of what USC has historically represented, which is they go get who they want to get. They have the endowment. They have the money. They have the swag. They have been the team.
I mean, they, though? They had Clay Helton. They ended up hiring
historically, but they had the choice as to if they wanted to hire him, in my opinion. I think they could go get pretty much any coach that they want until now. Until now. Well,
I think they've fallen to a position where you got competition in football now in LA.
Yes, you do.
It's just an entire LeBron's there with the Lakers. If I live in LA, I obviously visit there frequently. I'm not going to a USC football game, and even if they're good, by the way, which UCLA is a better team right now. That's the college football team I'm going to watch.